like the cars. I combine that information along with my observation, with my background, my experience, what I know. I complete the rating scales. And it compares those ratings with other kids with ASD. That's why I like it. I use it all the time, no. But there are times information and it's conflicting. That's not uncommon. Get a parent report, no problem. Get a teacher report, vice versa. I'm not sure, you want to observe them again. You have checklists. You have a physician's report. Gathering your professional opinion out there. Yes, I believe this child has autism or is autistic, based on including my direct observation and the multiple sources of information that I have. So that's why I like the cars. The ADR is time consuming, 1 to 2.5 hours. Very difficult, it just is. If you don't want to use the ADIR, use the SCQ, Social Communication Questionnaire with a Parent. Takes 10 to 15 minutes, 40 questions, yes, no. Ask questions about early development. It asks questions about repetitive interests, social skills, interaction with others. The SCQ, by the way, is one of the most studied or investigated of all these measures. There's a lot of information on the SCQ if you want to look it up. A lot of journal articles. Has really good sensitivity. Good with parents. Parents find it very easy to fill out. It's only 40 questions, yes or no. You can give it to them. You can sit there with them, depending on the situation. So that would be an alternative to the ADIR. The ADOS, of course, only if you've been trained. And we all know that the ADOS is not a standalone instrument. And ADOS does not give you a diagnosis. And ADOS doesn't include developmental history. In fact, the ADOS sometimes gives you only limited availability or limited ability to identify RRBs. In other words, a child may not demonstrate RRBs during your administration. Even though you can score it, you may not see it. So that becomes a problem for the ADOS. Any questions on those? Okay. The SRS-2, by the way, has a preschool version and a self-report for older kids and young adults as well. Okay, I don't want to pick on the GARs, but I'm going to. Now this is the GARs and the GARs too. Look at the sensitivity. Very, very poor sensitivity. I do not recommend the GARs for use in determining eligibility, specifically for determining eligibility. Of course, I would never tell anybody not to use any instrument. The GARs may be appropriate for a quick screen. You might want to look at individual items on the GARs and how the student responded. That would give you information. I'm not saying it doesn't have utility. I'm saying it has very poor sensitivity. And there are better measures to use than the GARs for assessment purposes, to include in a comprehensive developmental assessment. The GARS 3 does represent some improvements. However, we don't have enough data or study yet to demonstrate its utility in the general population, okay, or autism. So we really don't have enough information yet. So again, I'm not picking on the GARs, but I am. Do any of you use the GARs? Don't. Yeah, that probably wasn't a good question to ask, was it? After I just, yeah.
I won't anymore though.
Again, I'm not suggesting that any measure you should or should not use. You should be aware of the sensitivity. Read the manual. You look careful with that too. But you should read the manual. Do a little research. Look at some journals. Look at some online journals, and look at sensitivity. See what the sensitivity of the measure is, and how effective it is in identifying kids on the spectrum. I haven't gotten any letters from Jim Gilliam, so I'm sure he doesn't care. It's still a very popular instrument. Social communication, core feature of ASD. And we all know what pragmatic skills involve, right? Some of us have very good pragmatic skills, and some of us don't have such great pragmatic skills. They vary. Pragmatic skills, changing language according to the needs of a listener or a situation, understanding non-literal language, and I mentioned to you the idioms, very important, and following rules for conversations. I'm sure you can think of kids after reading this who like, really? You didn't understand what I just told you to do? I gave you very clear rules and what I expected. Didn't understand it. Or why are you giving me a totally inappropriate answer to the question I just asked? It's pragmatics. It's maybe other things also, but it could be pragmatics, especially if it's consistent over time. So for our SLP colleagues, assessment should include an evaluation of pragmatic competence and not be limited to the formal structural aspects of language, articulation, receptive and expressive language. So when we're working as a team,